maybe the Trojan horse in disguise that gets accountants hooked on this tool, and then who knows.
Sorry, I still can't get rid of the image of Dwayne across your chest, indeed, which was not what I was expecting from this app news.
Dwayne Jackson's new tool promises to simplify a notoriously complex process for accountants and contractors.
Announcements didn't stop there. They released 2 other additional features around this time.
They're on board in a vicious legal battle still with their main rival Deel.
The fact that FreeAgent are specifically selecting key providers to integrate into actually triggers me to want to learn more about how.
This acquisition means faster, deeper integrations that will make managing your practice even more seamless.
Now, how quickly they build in is obviously going to be critical, but they are estimating summer 2025.
To me, this just demonstrates the same thing that we've spoken about in the past so many times, which is why this podcast is so important. It is about trying to transmit the right amount of information in the right form and at the right time. Hello, welcome to today's Digi-Tools and Accrual World episode, brought to you by the Digital Disruptors. This episode has been brought to you by Implicit, the mid-market financial system for those who have outgrown their entry-level cloud accounting system. I'm joined today by my wonderful co-host, Ryan Piercy, and not joined today by our second wonderful co-host, John Toon, which is a shame. But today we are talking all things post-Accountex, and we've got a number of different app news updates from the accounting tech space that we are delighted to bring you. And we're also looking at the space in general in terms of post-Accountex and how we feel the market is evolving with the types of updates that we saw at Accountex collectively, and also to talk about the launch of a training platform that we are now spending a little bit more time understanding how the market is responding to our training certification. And I think on that note, I can kick to Ryan, who was at Accountex, and unfortunately I was unable to make it owing to a number of different reasons, all very personal, but all very boring as well. So I was a bit gutted to miss out. Ryan, tell me everything. Tell me all the gossip and what happened and what did I miss out on?
Your life is never boring, Indy. I'm sure there was some fascinating stuff that's going on. But you did miss out on an incredible... Fair enough. You did miss out on an incredible Accountex. It was an insane first day. I've never seen a show like that. It was so rammed that they just could not cope with the people getting in the door. That was mayhem.
Really?
And then the floor was just like jam-packed. At times it's hard to move around. All of the talks that I went to were pretty much out of the back of the stages. And our little help desk booth was helping endless people find the right solution. So very exciting. But I do have a new massive respect for vendors, because by the end of the second day, I was exhausted.
I bet. And your feet?
Yeah, my feet were killing. And also, I think I spent quite a long time trying to find John. I mean, he was definitely supposed to be helping me, but there's obviously John is a social butterfly out talking to lots of people.
Yeah, you can't keep a hold of that man. He is away with all of the good and the great in accounting. But how did the events go? Because we ran a pre-Accountex event and also a breakfast morning to try and get some feedback from the market on how they would be receptive to embedding new digital services into their practice. So tell us both sides of that coin, the social and the educational. Well,
Accountex, now with Circus Games, was, in my opinion, the best Accountex we've ever done. It was incredible. Don't tell me that. It was so much fun. It probably helped that I quite awkwardly won. Out of everyone that was there, the 70 to 80 people that were there, I got the top score and won a bear, which I think was quite hard for John to announce. Was that because you were so used to clowning around? Yeah, that's it. I don't know. I was having a lot of fun. I was just laughing and joking, didn't expect anything, and then at the end somehow got the top score. But to be honest, I don't think anyone was taking it seriously. It was just a lot of fun little circus and arcade style games. But great night. Lots of people there, a massive buzz, a lot of fun, and a great way to kick off the show.
Nice.
And then the training session was mixed bag. We didn't get as many people turning up as we'd hoped, but the feedback from the people that did was very positive. And everyone I spoke to before and after our training session said about how actually really helpful what we were covering was, which was helping those that are going to a show make sure they're well prepared to engage with software vendors in the most effective way. I think maybe it was just badly timed. It's quite early, lots of people traveling into to London, 8 a.m. Maybe we just got it wrong. Maybe we're so used to being there early because we do the show before, the night before, that we just expected more people to be there.
And also, I think that as we've seen at most of these events, when people turn up to speak to you about where to go, they are often quite ill prepared with all of their options. And like most of us, we leave it right until the last moment to understand how to coordinate that. I do wonder whether there's better merit in trying to, like you say, come at a different time of the day. But the problem is with Accountex, it's so overwhelming and there's so many people that trying to even schedule it for a perfect time it's sometimes a little bit impossible. But you can see the need there, because I imagine that you, based on what you were saying, the people that came to the stand, you still spent the whole day directing people for the optimal tech stack or the kind of rollout of a new product that would work within their practice based on the things that they're trying to offer or do for their clients.
Yeah, and it wasn't just those in practice. We had FDs and FCs from businesses come up asking us, basically saying, I've got this problem. There's so many vendors here. I'm not entirely certain who I should be speaking to. And we managed to navigate them to a number of vendors around the room, depending on the specific requirements. And yeah, they seemed very positive, very happy about that. And that was really well supported by the digital disruptive community. I think we had about 10 different members that took part during the day, joining us and helping those that came up. And yeah, it went very positively. We had lots of positive reviews. And we also had a number of those that want to learn more about the digital transformation accreditation training scheme that we're launching, request to be put on the shortlist, which we now need to create.
That is often the way, that we are so in demand, and then all at the same time we have to try and navigate the diary politics of getting everyone in the same space at the same time. To me, this just demonstrates the same thing that we've spoken about in the past so many times, which is why this podcast is so important. It is about trying to transmit the right amount of information in the right forum and at the right time, because it is so impossible to make sure that all of the moons align for so many people in the same room, which I think is a big part of what we're trying to do with our training certification program, given that it is something that accountants and CFOs and other people in the industry can take part in and benefit from their home, rather than trying to go to a location at a specific time. And so I think that if anything, it proves to us that there's still like a very big interest in doing this, because when people come to the automation station stand the whole day, I remember last year, you weren't there, Ryan, it was a 2 days solid lost my voice kind of vibe, where we were really just trying to direct as many accountants and CFOs as possible to exactly what type of digital transformation they were hoping to achieve by using the different technologies in the room and the alternatives that would bed in for them. And they really were interested in trying to figure out a standardized process to doing that.
Definitely. It's all about choice. And just as we have the podcast, we've got the newsletter now, and we've also got the quarterly update that's just gone live as well. Everyone wants to ingest information, whatever's the best way for them. And it's our job to accommodate that.
So on that note, should we kick on to app news?
Sounds perfect. Let's crack on.
On app news today, TaxCalc is making big moves in the UK practice management space with the acquisition of Engager. So we saw this at Accountex, and I saw all sorts of updates going live across the industry, that the cloud-based tool that quickly gained traction in the accounting community, the beloved Engager, has now been acquired by TaxCalc. It's their first acquisition since their major investment from STG Partners last year, marking a new chapter in their expansion plans. Engager, which was launched in 2023 by Johan Gori and a number of people within the accounting tech space, has grown really fast, adding features like e-signing, client portals, AML integrations, and with 1,500 users already on board. For accountants, this is a big deal. With TaxCalc's existing products and Engager's all-in-one practice management platform, this acquisition means faster, deeper integrations that will make managing your practice even more seamless. TaxCalc CMO said this was a logical move to build on Engager's success. And actually, I think that's an interesting statement to make. Engager has been incrementally growing very rapidly thanks to the organic process, the organic reach, that Johan Gori has in this space. And so, if anything, I think this is a really great partnership for TaxCalc rather than an acquisition. With TaxCalc's backing, we expect enhancements to come even quicker. And what's key here is the continued support for existing customers and the promise that Engager will remain as available as an add-on, giving firms more choice in how they manage their practice. As the demand for cloud practice-based management tools rises, and we've seen that most of those that are in this space have retrenched slightly, I think TaxCalc is positioning itself to meet that need head-on. It's a big win for the accounting space. I think a really big win for the whole team at Engager, and it shows that they're really coming to the market to power up something that was already making a lot of partnerships across the board with different types of accounting systems. What was the buzz from your perspective, Ryan, on how well this was received in the space?
This was really odd from my perspective, because I was on the complete other side of the show floor, and it took quite a while for the ripple effect to get to me from being there live. But yeah, this was probably the biggest announcement at Accountex, and you always need a big announcement at Accountex. So someone always saves something up for that day, and yeah, I think this is huge news for the Engager team, and I think there's been a lot of questions on the back of this, like, why have they done this? They've talked a lot about not wanting to sell, not too soon. They wanted it to be all about community, and they're very protective of the community. So I assume that was a very critical aspect of when they're considering who to bring on board. But they've been growing, but they must have been starting to lose speed, right? Because it comes down to money in the end. You need a big team. The bigger you get, the bigger the team you need. And unless they could get some investment, some money in, then there's always the risk you're going to start to slow down and lose traction. So that's my, I guess, gut feel for why they've done this. Interesting partnership, though.
I don't know if I think it's that. I think that in this space where you've got more likely Engager is picking up massive steam, and I don't know that you could say the same about TaxCalc. They received an investment. They need to demonstrate to their investors that they are growing fast. I think it's logical then they would need to either make an acquisition of this nature or have a very good plan for how they're going to deploy some sort of value add product to their software suite. And so it makes more sense that rather than build it and rather than partner, they just buy someone that's actually doing really well in the space and can benefit from the organic halo effect of the customer base that TaxCalc has.
Well, so from an engagement perspective, are you saying there's no real strategic reason apart from financial?
Somebody makes you an offer that you can't resist, why not?
As well as that, there was an acquisition just before Accountex, which was that Bright acquires TimeKeeper. Now, I think this is an amazing play by Bright, because Bright Payroll's probably biggest weakness has been their timesheet or lack of timesheet functionality, and TimeKeeper is a leading timesheet management capture tool in this space. So the fact that TimeKeeper can obviously track digital time, but also attendance, job tracking, and workforce management, a deep integration between these two platforms would enhance Bright Payroll massively, and I guess create a more symbiotic relationship than if in a much quicker time than if they tried to build this themselves. They've already proven by moving to the cloud and having to recall their software early on that there's a big challenge about building deep payroll functionality, and building effectively a deep integration between BrightPay and TimeKeeper would be a big positive for anyone that's a BrightPay customer. Now, how quickly they build in is obviously going to be critical, but they are estimating summer 2025, which is just around the corner. So the fact that they're expecting a deep integration between these two platforms that quickly is a massive win for the BrightPay team if they can pull this off. And they've effectively said this is one of the biggest areas that all their customers have been requesting. They went out to find the solution for it. TimeKeeper is the bit that fills that void.
Nice. Sounds very good. And although I was not there, I did hear my wonderful, lovely ex-comrades at Capium had come in to check on me. So thank you very much to all of those people at Capium, and that they have just launched a new tool, Capium 365, aimed at simplifying the digital record keeping process ahead of MTD for income tax. It's a simplified bookkeeping solution that allows clients to upload receipts and invoices through an app or email and categorize income streams directly within the platform. It sounds pretty great. And actually, in the time that I was at Capium, that was something that was really the end game for working with a lot of the smaller businesses that they have on the platform. But here's the catch. While Capium 365 promises to mask the complexity of tax compliance, let's not forget, we've heard similar promises before. It's built for sole traders, individuals, and partnerships with automation tools like bank reconciliation and categorization. The tool pushes client document requests, saving accountants time, well, at least for clients with simple returns. Capium's pricing starts at $11.99 per month with a special rate for existing customers. And I think that at that price, we really hope it would streamline the process for the workflow for those who have fairly straightforward records that need to then be reconciled. It's about balancing the ease of using it with the accuracy. So this is a solid option for accountants handling fairly straightforward clients. Even though we know that there's a bit more complexity around the corner, I think for the majority of those in the space, sole traders, in particular, when I think about the Capium-esque customer and the businesses that they support, I think this is a fantastic, very cost-effective option.
Yeah, I think we've had a raft of releases aimed at the MTD clients. Well, I guess potential client base, right? There's so many businesses that are trying to ramp up, be those accountants or software vendors. We've had Xero Simple. We've now got, we had QuickBooks Online, Sole Trader, and now we've got Capium 365, as well as Sage's product and FreeAgent, which has always been in the space. We've now got an integration between FreeAgent and Powdr, which is a live financial reporting tool. Well, not one that I've actually come across much before. So the fact that FreeAgent are specifically selecting key providers to integrate into actually triggers me to want to learn more about Powdr. So I'm going to be doing some digging into this one. It shows that they've obviously got their finger on the pulse whenever they build an integration, and I want to know more. But as well as that, another announcement at Accountex was FreeAgent's integration into Jenesys. And if you weren't at Accountex and you didn't go and see the FreeAgent stand, you wouldn't have got the cute little Jenesys robot, but in white and blue. I've got one of those. I got them for my daughter and then stole it because it's too cool. I've kept it for myself. But if you've not come across Jenesys, I know we talked about it in the show before, AI-powered OCR data capture tool with Jackpod, which is powered by it's basically their outsourced finance function for purchase invoice processing. So the combination of their AI tool and Jackpod means that you can handle the entire of the purchase invoice processing now directly into FreeAgent. But the announcements didn't stop there. They released two other additional features around this time, one being management reports, so similar to what some of the other tools in the space do, where you can combine profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow, age debtors, creditors, whatever it is from a report into a pack. You can now do that in FreeAgent. And they've also announced find and fix. So if you ever come across find and recode in Xero, essentially, my understanding is this is the same. So find and fix, probably because they can't call it file and recode. You can edit up to 100 records at once, changing VAT rates, accounting categories, and descriptions without resorting to journals or repeated manual input. That is now in the FreeAgent tool. I think I'm out of breath now talking about FreeAgent.
Yeah, I mean, they are killing it, and I guess that. Did you spend a bit of time with FreeAgent at all? This Accountex?
Not as much as I'd like to, because I was on stand, and as I've found from being on stand, it's a very different experience. You're very insular.
Yeah.
You don't really get out there and to see everyone. But I did go and see the team. They also came over, and they were on one of the talks. I joined Tony in a talk on the Advisory Plus stage. We're talking all about digital transformation, or what you need to consider when you are trying to bring that service line into your accountancy firm.
Nice. So something different, the darling that is Dwayne Jackson, I call him the darling, the founder, ex-founder of KashFlow and Staffology, is back with a new product. Dun, 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 CIS Manager, a cloud-based platform designed to make life easier for contractors and subcontractors working under the construction industry scheme, the CIS scheme, with over 1 million subcontractors in the UK. Let's be fairly real about this. Dwayne has always done a really good job of launching products, and he does a really great job of making sure they exit. Historically, software aimed at CIS compliance has been really clunky and buried in desktop systems, and I think Dwayne is perfect at finding those gaps in the market where most of the features never even get used, and he's done again spotted another gap in the market in terms of CIS management. But here's the real kicker: Dwayne is not charging for it yet.
It's free. Oh, yet.
and I say that because we saw what he did with Staffology. We saw the pricing mechanism he had for KashFlow. It was very good. He finds an alternative commercial model. I really like the way his brain ticks. And while it is a much needed breath of fresh air in this niche area, the question is whether this is just another gateway for Dwayne to tap into a bigger market. CIS Manager may be the Trojan horse in disguise that gets accountants hooked on this tool. And then who knows, is it another exit to Iris? But for now, it's free. So if you're struggling with CIS compliance, this could be worth a try. But remember, as always, keep an eye on what's coming down the line when the free period ends. And I say that with absolutely, if I could lift up my top, that would not be appropriate right now. But imagine Dwayne Jackson love heart around, everything that he does. So I am a big supporter of an evangelical fan of everything that he touches. So there you go. I say bear that in mind, but it sounds like a great product for any of those in this space. What do you think, Ryan?
Sorry, I still can't get rid of the image of Dwayne across your chest, Indy, which was not what I was expecting from this app news. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, right? Surely he's seen a gap in the Iris software suite of CIS, and he's now building a product that will slowly sell to them. I mean, it just feels like that's the way things go. But he's onto something, because this is where a lot of software providers are focused over the last 6 months. We've had changes from QuickBooks Online to enhance their CIS, with the same from FreeAgent. So I'm not surprised we've got a CIS focused tool, especially as landlords and property management was the key focus for the prior 2 years. So I'm glad there is something focusing on the CIS, the subcontractor side. The challenge and the pain is always in the fact that generally those people that are subcontractors hate working on technology. It needs to be incredibly easy and set from a UI perspective. Let's hope that he's nailed it. All right, pivoting slightly into QuickBooks Online. Now, we've talked, I think, a little bit about Xero and the fact that they've been bringing a fair usage policy. If we haven't, we definitely will do. But QuickBooks Online have now brought out, or bringing out, usage limits, depending on when you listen to this pod. They are bringing restrictions impacting users. So if you've got a certain user number or transaction volume or number of classes, then you'll need to upgrade to the next subscription tier above. And if you don't do that, you'll have your access restricted. Now, I believe this is coming in June. Now, whenever there's an announcement where it's a big fundamental shift that affects client or user access, sometimes those dates slip. But this was announced. And this is something we're starting to see a lot in the small business space platforms, especially as a lot of those bigger businesses come in and start using the products because of the suite of integrations that are enabled means that you can do that, but it starts putting quite a burden on the servers. And unless they encourage or, I guess, drive their clients to an alternative, then they're going to constantly have this problem.
Very nice, very nice. And something from Rippling, the HR tech juggernaut, that has raised a staggering $450 million in its Series G round, propelling its valuation to an eye-watering $16.8 billion. Just remember when we were talking about unicorns. Do you remember the days? And now a jaw-dropping jump from just last year when it was valued at $13.4 billion. But here's where it gets even juicier. Rippling isn't just raising funds, they're also offering a $200 million tender to give employees a little more liquidity. But is this rapid expansion too good to be true? While Rippling has become a startup superstar with over 20,000 customers and 4,000 employees, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, as we saw just recently. Just as the company rockets towards domination, they're embroiled in a vicious legal battle still with their main rival Deel. The accusations, corporate espionage. Rippling claims Deel hired a spy to infiltrate its inner workings, and Deel isn't backing down, filing its own countersuit. Now, in the middle of a lawsuit, Rippling is pushing its founder mode offering to Y Combinator startups with an aggressive 6-month free offer. But behind the flashy deals and the sky-high valuation, the question remains that can Rippling keep its empire intact while dodging legal bullets and growing at breakneck speed, or will the drama catch up with them? So this is something that we need to keep our close eye on. For those who are interested in hearing or learning more about the HR tools, I'm not sure that I know enough about whether this is something that, most people are asking for, but it seems like a good strike-up partnership with Y Combinator in the meantime. What do you think, Graham?
Well, I mean, I don't know a lot of the details. Most of these products have come from abroad. We did have Deel definitely at Accountex. I saw them, had a good conversation. But I'm not sure if Rippling were there. It was definitely not, if they did have a stand, obvious or easy to find. So wonder at how much of this is going to affect the UK market, or if it's just those abroad battling out.
Yeah, I think it's nice to watch a company building and having so many embroiled in so many legal battles. Actually, I don't think it sometimes makes you feel like living vicariously in some way, watching something from afar and watching these guys do a really good job of navigate with the complex doldrums of the space. So yeah, we'll keep you posted.
Sounds good. Well, I guess to wrap up news this week, I have something from Xero. They have fully announced tap to pay on the Xero app. And I really like the way this works. So simply powered by Stripe, as long as you open an invoice on your mobile device, you can take payment or hit take payment, and the customer can tap their watch or card directly to your phone. Obviously, you need a relatively new or modern mobile phone for this to work, but assuming that you do have that, it will take the payment through Stripe, and you've got the option to then send a receipt to your customer straight after if you want to, and the invoice goes directly into your system, fully marked as paid, ready for reconciliation as the transaction comes in. Definitely aimed at those smaller contractor style businesses, as we keep talking about on this episode, and those that are out in the field and just want to trigger a quick payment. And you don't need a card payment terminal, right? Straight from your mobile device. So it makes it cheaper and easier. So big release from Xero, and interesting to see how quickly this is adopted, because I think we've had a lot of releases from Xero over the last couple of years where we've not been so sure about it. This one is a big win in my opinion.
Is tap to pay cheaper? This is my question. Than alternatives. I mean, you're still paying for it. So,
well, it's not as
1.4% and 20 pence per transaction, right?
Yeah, it's not cheaper than Cresco, which is free.
That's my point. Yeah.
But that uses open banking and not card. So card payments, I believe, and be good if anyone is listening and correct me on this, I believe there aren't any free alternatives as yet.
No. Well, I imagine that there's still, I think practically it's good to have optionality around payments. So that's one thing that we do encourage as much as possible. And the fact that it works on both Android and iPhone. And I don't think that there's any restriction on it. Do you think it allows you to also tap with Amex?
You know what? I don't know. Whether it's Visa and MasterCard only, is not something that I have seen. Let me see if I can quickly see something on here. No.
I'm curious. We all want to know if we can rack up our reward points, hey?
Well, I don't have any reward points yet. I need to invest in an Amex card, I think. Then I'll know all this because I would have failed to pay via tap to pay.
Well, that brings us to a close on app news this week. We hope you enjoyed some of the news on that. And if there's anything that you want us to talk more about, then feel free to obviously wang it across and we'll make sure it's covered. Wang.
To wang it across.
Wang it across.
What a use of terminology there.
Thanks for joining us on today's episode of Digi-Tools in Accrual World. We hope you enjoyed it and we look forward to hearing your feedback, seeing you join our newsletter, seeing you join our community, turning up at our next event and making sure that you join our Digi-Tools certification program. And if there's anything that you've missed and you think that we're not doing enough, then tell us about it because we're always interested in learning more. If you want to feature on one of our digital digests, which is a live stream that happens every single Thursday with myself and or Ryan, depends on who's in the hot seat that day, then again, reach out to us and we're always happy to put you under the spotlight.
Just wang those ideas across.
Anytime. Thanks again. Catch you on the next one.